What should you do if you use your private car for business? How do you handle car maintenance costs like fuel and repairs? In this episode, we will talk about using private cars, that is, cars with white license plates for business.
Welcome to the Business Lessons in Denmark podcast, where we answer your business-related questions and provide you with the information you might need. My name is Dezső Almási, a new business owner who just recently started my company, Auto Photography, and I'm here with Katalin Balog, the founder of Cool Accounts APS. Hi Kati, I was really waiting for today's show because I really need a car for my photography business. Right now, we have a car, but my wife and I share it.
I understand.
After last time, I was thinking that a car with white license plate would be a good idea. It seems convenient since I can also use it for personal trips. However, I'm not so happy about having to cover all the costs. You mentioned keeping a kilometer log or mileage report can help me deduct some of these expenses from my taxes. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. There are two models to choose from, depending on how you want to handle your expenses. The first model is based on the actual costs, like insurance, fuel, and repairs. You will need to keep invoices and receipts for these expenses, and you can deduct the portion used for business purposes from your taxes.
How do I know how much was the business portion?
You will track that through your kilometer log. It shows the total kilometers driven for business and private purposes, and so you can split the costs accordingly.
Got it. What about the other model?
The second model offers a flat rate per kilometer set by the tax office.
So in this case, I don't need to collect the receipts on the actual cost, but I can use a flat rate for the kilometer I drove for my business, right?
Right, exactly.
And what's the flat rate?
It changes every year. In 2024, it's 3.79 Danish crowns per kilometer for up to 20,000 kilometers per year, and above that is 2.23 Danish crowns.
Not bad. But this applies only to the business kilometers?
Yes, only for the business kilometers. Doesn't matter which model you choose, it is very important that you keep a standard kilometer log. This should be a running record of your kilometers and must include the date, starting and ending odometer readings, the address of your departure, the address of your arrival, whether it was a business or a personal trip, and if it was a business trip, then you also need to include the purpose of the trip, like if it was for a photo session or material purchase or giving an offer or meeting with your accountant, or anything like that.
As I told you, I've already started keeping a kilometer log for our current car, and it seems I'm on the right track.
Okay.
But what if my wife used my car because she would like to visit a girlfriend or something similar?
Those trips are considered personal use and should be noted in the kilometer log as private trips.
Yes. No more secrets then. Everything will be on the kilometer log.
Yes, right.
And what is considered a business trip, by the way?
A trip can be a business trip in three ways. First, any trip between workplaces is considered a business trip.
So if I'm photographing at different locations in a day, do those travels count as a business trip?
Yes, exactly. Or if you have a cleaning business and you drive from one client to another client, for
Yeah,
example.
got it. And then one can get a tax deduction because of these trips.
Yes, these trips will reduce your tax base. The second way a trip can be qualified as a business trip is when it is happening within a workplace. In other words, any travel within a workplace is also considered business travel.
Like within a large construction site.
Yeah, for example. And lastly, trips between your home and workplace the first 60 days within the previous 12 months are also considered business trips.
What? Could you please repeat that one more time and slowly so I can understand it too?
Okay, I will try to present it from a different perspective. The journey between home and workplace is considered private trip, basically, except for the first 60 days when it is considered a business trip, always taking into account the preceding 12 months.
Well, that's interesting. I always drive to different places for photography. Maybe I have to go to the same place for 2 or 3 days in a row, but definitely not for 60 days.
Well, this is a good thing for you then, because it means that both the journey from your home to the photography location and the return trip are always considered business trips for you, since you never have to go to the same place for 60 days or more.
But those business owners who always go to the same place, it's different for them, right?
Right, exactly. If a business owner works at the same location for a long time or frequently works at the same place, then the 60-day rule will have consequences for them. For example, cleaning contractors who clean a kindergarten or a school, where they have to go 5 times a week, typically from Monday to Thursday, and then at the weekend.
Yes, they quickly reach 60 days, and after that, the journey between home and workplace becomes a private trip for them.
Yes. And well, this rule applies to the journey between the workplace and home as well. So it applies to the return journey too. Therefore, anyone who starts working at the same place every day, or at least frequently, or goes home from the same workplace, will be subject to this 60-day rule, meaning that from the 61st day, these journeys will be considered private trips.
But those cleaners who only go to the same place once a week, for example, those who clean apartments or twice a week, they won't reach the 60 days within 12 months, if I calculate correctly.
Right, exactly, because there are only 52 weeks in a year.
Okay, it's clean, I understand. And just make sure I get it right. Does this 60 days rule applies only to the journey between the home and workplace, or does it also apply to trips between workplaces?
But the journey between workplaces is always considered a business trip. So for those business owners who go to multiple workplaces during the day, the significance of the 60-day rule is always with the trip from home to the first workplace and the trip home from the last workplace.
Okay. Well, Kati, this 60 days rule is not so easy to work with.
Yeah, I understand. I won't say that the regulation is simple, but once you understand its logic, it's not so daunting. The most important with the kilometer log is knowing which journeys qualify as business trips, which ones as private trips, and it's important that your kilometer log contains all the necessary data, as we discussed earlier, and then there won't be any issues.
I see. So the logbook is the key to everything.
Yes.
If I keep it well, then I can claim the tax-based deduction, and then not all expenses for the car will be from my own pocket.
Right. A portion of your car's maintenance costs come about because of your company. And so you can write them off as expenses or reduce your tax base with them. These two things essentially mean the same thing. The exact amount depends on whether you use the actual expenses incurred or the flat rate per kilometer, but in both cases, your documentation is your kilometer log, which will show your actual kilometers traveled in detail.
Okay, well, thanks, Kati, for the explanation. I can't say the system is simple, but at least now I have a clear picture.
Great. And next time, I will tell you more about the cars with yellow license plates.
That will be great. I'm looking forward to that. See you next week.
See you next week.
Today's episode was sponsored by Cool Accounts APS. If you want to take your business to the next level, then contact us through our website www.accounts.cool. And for up-to-date and useful information, follow our Facebook page. We wish you a successful week.